Thank you very much, Riv. I am here with Lemonation, the one himself, the victor. Tell me how you're feeling off the 3-0 start to the split.
I'm feeling really good. I didn't expect to do this well right away, so 3-0 was great.
3-0 is definitely great. You couldn't start really any better. I want to talk to you about pick ban. Lemonation's notebook is known worldwide at this point. Something I'm a fan of is not just banning the S tiers outright, giving them LeBlanc, taking Rengar, setting up the Malzahar first round as well. What are your thoughts on how the pick ban's shaped up for you?
Yeah, I mean, like 95% of teams just ban out LeBlanc, Rengar, Camille, Red Side every single game. I think that's fine to do, but doing the trade and kind of getting an advantage from that has benefited us and seemed to, come out quite well.
It definitely has. You guys have looked absolutely sharp the whole way through, and some of that is, the Rengar going on to Moon, a player that coming in, a lot of people did not have a lot of respect for. He had had a couple of bad LCS splits. Talk to me about kind of coming in with Moon. You've gone to Worlds and stuff before. You've got players who had a bad time in the LCS and kind of shaping up, a newer talent and having him play this well and trusted with the Rengar pick and everything like that.
I mean, Moon's definitely an underrated player. Like, I think the fact that we have such a strong leader in High who can kind of like Shaka and lead that while he just, does this thing has helped him a lot. And he's just he's always at the very top of the solo queue and all of that kind of thing. He's very good mechanically, and he's just good in the jungle.
It's great to see he's doing so well with your team, of course. I want to ask you about one more player, your lane mate, Altec. And the context I want to give is when you first entered the LCS, we asked you about Sneaky, and you said he's the best AD carry I've ever played with. And we were like, whoa, really? Because you played with Turtle before. And Sneaky, of course, became to be great, and you as well. Now you're here with Altec, who we've seen in the LCS. What are your thoughts on playing the lane with him?
Well, even before that, I played with Nintonso, and then I played with Wild Turtle. Then I played with Sneaky, and now I'm playing with Altec. And I think I've been very lucky with the AD carries I've played with because I think they've all been very, very good. So I've had an easier job of it, I think.
Always propped up by your lane mate?
Yeah.
None of it's your doing?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but it's definitely helped.
It's a partnership, and your teammates are going at least halfway. Well, Lemonation, thank you very much. Congratulations on a wonderful start to the split. We'll see more from you, I'm sure, very soon. Thanks very much. Let's go back to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Freak. There's a lot to unpack there in that interview, actually, as FlyQuest moves to 3-0 on the split so far. One more series to play this weekend against Echo Fox, still to come on Sunday. But let's use that interview to kind of frame our discussion here. The first of which is pick and ban phase. As Freak mentioned, FlyQuest opting not to go for the standard red side bans, leaving that LeBlanc up to go over to, into the hands of Huhi. And when we're talking about that mid lane matchup, most people would look at, oh, well, LeBlanc, that's going to be a pretty easy win. High has a response.
Exactly. And also the almost disrespect or the strategy of Counter Logic Gaming was, we're not scared of High, or we think High has a small champion pool. We're going to ban him out and deny him picks, and we're not scared of Moon.
Right.
And both of those things didn't work. Moon had a spectacular Rengar game, and High neutralized / beat Huhi's LeBlanc in the mid lane, which no one is even willing to play against in the LCS because of the power of that matchup. So I applaud the courage, essentially, to not ban those champions, because if it backfires, you get hammered with criticism.
Absolutely, right. If that ends up being a 9-0 LeBlanc or something that wreaks havoc across the map, then it was just the dumbest decision you could have possibly made.
They suck at pick ban, right? But when it actually does work out, I really applaud it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now if we zero in on the matchup itself more as the individuals High versus Huhi, once again, High is kind of shaking off any of those preconceived notions that people had of him coming into this split. But we do have to temper a little bit of what he's done, what he's accomplished with his opponents, who he's gone up against.
Exactly. Alex Each, Golden Glue, and Huhi are not necessarily the Hall of Fame of North American mid laners yet.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see. We got plenty of years left. But from there, even if he's beating these guys, that definitely proves that he belongs in the LCS and he can compete with most. Right? So we haven't seen him up against Jensen and Bjergsen yet, the top tier of the North American LCS mid laners. But with FlyQuest starting like this, that's incredibly encouraging, Dash, because most people were thinking these guys were auto-relegated, and some people are calling it the worst esports investment of all time.
Right, and I think it's going to...
It's looking a little better than that.
Exactly, and I think what it's going to do is it's going to force a lot of people to rethink how they approach playing against FlyQuest, and specifically High in the mid lane. If we now look at a Bjergsen versus High matchup, do you think it's as lopsided as you would have said it was coming into week 1? Probably not, because High has shown that, okay, I can survive in bad matchups. I can get through the lane phase. I can play something safe like Corki or, and affect other lanes. And so I think we're running into that situation where people are going to start having to completely rethink their strategy here, not go after the mid lane. Yeah. In that case, who do you go after on FlyQuest?
Yeah, you have to respect them for sure. And potentially, instead of just tunneling around a specific player, you try and help your players and just play it like a normal ban phase. Like no longer just tailor a strategy saying, we're going to pick Corki in the first rotation on the red side because it messes over High.
Right.
In which case, you're forfeiting the other advantages you could potentially get on the red side in this draft. So I think that's more the line where teams are going to be taking.
Absolutely. And a player that we have to talk about, Lemonation already mentioned him in that interview, Moon. I mean, this guy, night and day across 2016 to 2017, he chalked it up to maybe it is because we have such a strong leader in High that Moon is more unlocked to play with, more certainty, more aggression, and a little bit more freedom than he would have normally.
Yeah, and I'm going to preface what I'm about to say by saying I love jumping to conclusions, and small sample sizes are my jam.
We're all about that here.
So, Meteos is a jungler who played with High in the past and was the MVP of the LCS.
Yes.
And without High, he looked like a mediocre jungle / potentially better end of the spectrum. Moon is a player who hasn't looked well on his own, but normally junglers in Pro League have this shot calling burden. And when you're playing with High and you're an elite solo queue player like Moon is, which he actually is, if you look at the history of this dude in solo queue, he's almost always top 10. And then you can just port that over to pro play, and the other dude's directing where traffic goes, you could actually find success. So I really love that insight from Lemonation, and I want to see if Moon can kind of prove out that he's a good jungler in the LCS.
Yeah, and then you end up all of a sudden searching for the weaknesses in FlyQuest, where coming into the split, people said, well, they've got a million of them. Just, throw a dart at the board and you'll probably hit a weakness of FlyQuest. They're starting to just, get rid of all of those ideas of, oh, hey, this is how we're going to beat this team. The last person that I'd want to look at who you might be able to target and really put FlyQuest off kilter would be Balls in the top lane.
Yeah, you always have to wonder about that. They very clearly did not want to give Darshan any counter picks in this matchup, which is why they were okay leaving Maokai up on the red side and then waiting to go with Nautilus.
Right.
Because they were, I think, afraid of what would happen if tank versus carry in that matchup, and I agree with you. I'm also really looking forward to people looking back at the segment in 5 weeks if, if they actually do turn into pumpkins.
Right, exactly.
Because we still don't know yet. We're done 3/18 of their regular season split. All we know is they're off to a really strong start.
Yeah, we can only say so much here at the beginning, but we have to take a break for a few minutes. When we come back, it's going to be TSM, who hopes to topple someday, and Team Dignitas. We'll be right back.
Aurelian, so. Aurelian, so. Oh, Aurelian is so. Okay.
That one was almost a root there.
High over the wall! Making it look juicy. They could go for Huhi here, but it'd be a long chase, so they keep hitting Darshan. This could actually give Balls time to get back to the top lane. What a distortion forward here. Moon delivering a bit of damage back, and he's got the brush to deliver the range as well, as he doesn't just want to get himself in the fight yet. He goes in now. They go for the kill. Darshan stays alive with the autos and the heals from his team.
Kill this Kha'Zix.
The block's coming.
I'm going for this guy. I can get him. Zil. I can get him.
Yeah.
I can get him. Okay.
Nice, that's really good for us.
Yeah.
From the backside, Aframu goes down. Stixay's already fallen. 45 seconds on the timers here. FlyQuest was just backs, kind of moving out. FlyQuest coming out with another 2-0 to start week 2.